Hello, and welcome to First Chapter Friday. This week we will be reading from Tornado Brain by Kat Patrick, and it is one of the 2021 Texas Lone Star books. And it follows Frankie, who's a seventh grader. She's neurodivergent, which means she has some sensory issues. She interprets things from her senses very differently from others, and it kind of gets in the way of her making friends. It kind of makes her the weird girl. And so she doesn't have a lot of friends. And she did have one once, and things went a little wonky, and she hadn't talked to her in a while. And then that friend shows up out of the blue at her house, and then the next day she disappears. So Frankie decides to investigate and try to find her friend. And so we are going to read the prologue today about how Frankie and her friend met. People used to believe that tornadoes only move in one direction, to the northeast, but that's not true. Sometimes they go southwest. Sometimes they touch down and don't go anywhere, getting sucked right back up into the sky. That's disappointing. Sometimes they zig and sometimes they zag. Tornadoes are unpredictable. If a tornado was in middle school, it might get a lot of weird looks from other kids. Its counselor might call its behavior unexpected. Its mom might try to get it to move in the same direction as the other tornadoes just to fit in. But maybe the tornado doesn't care about fitting in, even if it means not having a lot of friends. I can relate because I used to have one friend, but now I don't. It's complicated. I met her during a tornado. It was the first week of kindergarten. My memories from back then are foggy because I was just a little kid, and also my memory's a little weird. But here's how I think it went. Everyone was at recess, and I was circling the outside of the play area alone, thinking of roller coasters because I was obsessed with them then. Feeling my way along the chain link because I liked the way my fingers dropped into the spaces between the links and the way my hand smelled like metal afterwards. Not a lot of people like that smell. Sometimes I don't notice things all at once, and sometimes I notice things too much. That day, I noticed when the wind turbine at the far end of the playground stopped turning. I live in Long Beach, Washington, and it's known for being windy. So windy that there's an international kite festival every August. So when the turbine stopped, it was different. I noticed things that are different. The creepy green-gray circular clouds behind the unmoving turbine were different too. That's what's called a mesocyclone, which is a word I like. I don't know if any other kid on the playground saw the twister fall from the funnel cloud that day. I was probably the only one who was looking up instead of playing tetherball or hanging upside down from the monkey bars or something. Being upside down makes my head feel funny. I watched as the tornado hit the ground and started bumping toward us, tossing things that looked like bugs, but were really recycling bins. The emergency system was loud, so I covered my ears. Kids ran inside, but I didn't run. I walked in the direction of the tornado. I took my hands off my ears and heard the train sound. Far away at first, then louder and louder. The tiny bottom of the tornado got bigger as it collected stuff, pulling up and tossing small trees and even sucking up a utility pole, sending sparks into the sky like fireworks. I was sucked up too, by an adult. He grabbed me and started running toward the school. I watched the tornado rip out the far part of the playground fence, which is probably the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life. "What's wrong with you?" the adult shouted, too close to my ear. An audiologist once told me that I have better than average hearing, so it hurt. If you don't know what an audiologist is, it's a doctor who studies hearing loss and balance issues related to the ears. I don't have either of those things, but still, I went to one, along with many other doctors that have ologist at the end of their titles. I cupped my hands over my ears, but I could still hear him shouting, "You need to listen to directions! You could have been killed!" "It's not my fault," I said. "No one told me any directions." I bounced along in the teacher's arms, watching the turbine pick up speed until I couldn't see it anymore because it had a tornado wrapped around it like a big tornado hug. The teacher banged through the doors, and we were inside the school, running down the hall toward the cafeteria. Without the distraction of the tornado, I noticed his painful grip around my thighs and back. I stiffened and started to slip from his grasp. By the time we made it to the cafeteria, where all the other kids and teachers were hiding under tables, he was holding me only under the arms, my board straight legs swinging like a pendulum, and my flowered capris. My armpits hurt when he finally set me down next to a table in the middle of the room. "Found her," he said to my teacher. I don't remember her name. I didn't like her very much. "Come under, Francis," she said. "Sit next to me. It's going to be okay." "My name is Frankie," I said, crawling under the table. "And I know." "You gave us a scare, Frankie," she said, stroking my hair. "Honestly, don't know why people think that's comforting. Don't touch me," I snapped, scooting as far away from her as I could get. She looked surprised at first, then frowned and turned to talk to the man who carried me. "I was just watching," I said softly to myself. "Watching what?" a girl on my right asked. She had braided orange hair with red bows tied at the ends, too many freckles all over her cheeks and forehead, and a terrified expression. "I saw the tornado," I said. "I want my mommy," she said before putting her thumb in her mouth. Now she looked like a baby. "Is it gonna get us?" she asked around her thumb, making it harder to understand her. "Will we die? I don't want to die. I want to be a singer. Do you want to hold hands?" I definitely did not want to touch the hand that she had in her mouth, and I was overwhelmed by her questions. "What?" I asked, blinking. "My name is Colette." "That's not what I asked." "What's your name?" "Frankie." "I'm scared," she said. I wasn't feeling scared until the train sound got loud enough to rattle the windows. Then Colette hugged me, and I let her without thinking. Predictably unpredictable, the tornado would turn southwest at the last minute and just miss our school before being whooshed back into the clouds. But of course, we didn't know that at the time. I found out later that it was an EF3 on the enhanced Fujita scale, which is classified as intense. I didn't know that then either. Then I just knew that I was scared too. I squashed my cheek against Colette's, my arms around her. She was probably the first person other than my family members I'd ever hugged. "If we don't die, let's be friends," Colette said. "Okay," I said. We didn't die, so we were friends. So that's the end of the prologue for Tornado Brain. You can find it at your local libraries, your school libraries, or if you want to buy a copy, any of your local booksellers will have it, or there's always Amazon. So happy reading.